Hello, hello. Welcome to Young Reech Capital's live stream on Bitcoin. We have just been tagged into the trade. I have been waiting for this opening range to show us which direction the price wants to go. And we have received a move to the upside. We did close a candle above, and then now we are retesting the mid range of the opening range breakout of first 30 minutes of New York Open. And of course, I love to see this trend line break, which we did receive right here. Beautiful trend line confirmation. I'm still going to wait for a few minutes to see what Bitcoin does to kind of go into a much deeper analysis of the market. At the moment, I'm just going to take this quick scalp of 1 is to 2 risk to rewards. 1 is to 2.27. So let me cut that down to 1 is to 2 exactly. There we go. Beautiful. Um, I'm relatively confident that we're going to hit this trade. I have my stop just below this low, which is the low of the opening range of the New York session. So I'm just going to have to wait and see what happens. This is a live trade in progress. We have been tagged in. Now we're just going to have to wait and see what the market does. This is our entry right here. This is going to be our take profit, and this is our stop loss. Very small stop loss, as I recommend most of the times, which is what I usually do. Is the market is volatile. This is a disclaimer that everybody should know. Trading with low risk and small capital size. All right. This is going to be important because people shouldn't kind of get ahead of the price action. And look at this entry that I have suggested. It's a beautiful entry because it is the middle range of the opening range of Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin having this kind of a mid range on the opening, which is essentially where I like to take my trades with the opening range. Past past few live streams, I hadn't put together this opening range formation on the chart. I used to do it by just by looking at the first few minutes and of course getting confirmation of the trend line breach situation. I'm going to the 1 minute chart. All right, I set this up, keep the chart clean. See, there we go. Even the RSI is showing us that it does want to create some sort of bullish momentum. Hopefully we do hit our target soon. uh, as I said, we are trading with very low capital, low risk, small capital size. So remember that. All right, what are we looking at? We're looking at crypto right now. We're looking at the market. So they're going to be the last trading session of the week for the month of May 16th. Today's May 16th. So we have another couple more trading sessions to go in this month before we start showing some potential momentum. Going to have to see what kind of momentum is forming on this monthly close on Bitcoin. Right, so let me go into the monthly chart. I'm just going to let this trade play out as it is. So I'm actually going to go into this chart where I already have my chart breakdowns and etc. Just going to stop this out. I'm going to mute the writings on the chart. Hold on. Let me just get into the right. Beautiful. Great. So this is what I had been expecting on Bitcoin to do is essentially take support at this fair value right here. It's kind of looking a bit messy right now, the chart. I can figure something else out. I'm gonna see if I can mute all of this. But there are plenty of other things going on. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm just gonna pull up a different chart. That's what I'm already using. Let's try Bybit. Yeah, Bybit is good. All right. Yeah, this is a great chart to see what the market of Bitcoin is doing right now on the monthly. We're looking at the monthly chart. Super, super clean price action. You've got a nice fair value that we did take support from right here. And look at this beautiful move. This move is worth 39% in a span of 1.5 months. Not bad at all. In And that is equal to about 28, 30,000 points in 1.5 months. Big moves on Bitcoin. I'm gonna leave that in there. So these lines that you see here are essentially the range zones that it has been creating in the past 1, 2, 3, 4 months Bitcoin. So this is the range high, which is the all-time high of 109,000. And I would say that this is the local range low that Bitcoin put in at 74,000 just last month, which was uh, the retest of this fair value gap right here. And of course, we did close above the 50% level of the fair value gap. And for those of you who are familiar with what a fair value gap is essentially a gap between three candles where there is this kind of a gap where the price action usually tends to come back into. And for certain types of price action, when the market is bullish, the candlestick closes above the 50% level of this fair value right here, right? So you see, if you noticed, all of these candles have closed above the 50% level, with having these wicks come into the lower range of the fair value, but we've closed the full body above the 50% level, which is in general technical terms a bullish situation, right? Also, I had been suggesting a potential. Now, let me just quickly go into the daily chart. I had been suggesting a potential bearish scenario, right, on Bitcoin. And you see these levels right here, the 618 and the 702 level is essentially what is known as the golden pocket zone, where the price tends to react quite heavily. So once we entered here, we consolidated a bit, but we ended up going above it. So now what is essentially happening is the price is trying to convert a bearish scenario into a bullish one, right? Because you take a look at this major, massive uptrend that is being created on Bitcoin. So, because of such a situation that's happening, it is absolutely possible that there are two scenarios that I'm looking at. Okay. And this weekend on Sunday will be a very important day of the weekly candle close. It will be very important. The reason because it will now show us where the price wants to go in the overall scheme of things, higher time frame on Bitcoin. We are going to probably see where the market makers are trying to get the price to go, right? I'm possibly expecting a consolidation out here. So that is going to be my third scenario, right? So before that, let me outline two scenarios, two very simple scenarios, one bullish, one bearish, right? I'm going to set the tone for either of the possibilities. It can either I'll set the tone for a bullish situation and a bearish one, right? And based on the developing price action, the market will show us which direction it wants to go towards. All right. So what we are seeing right now is essentially a break of the golden pocket. That's number one. Number two, we are now testing this order block right here, which is a supply zone, right? This is a area of supply. What that means is it is an area of resistance, rejection zones. Plenty of words that you can use to describe this situation right now. It is in a space of resistance where the bears are going to be quite active in this region. So my initial thesis was we get a tap of this level right here that I'm marking out, then go into the golden pocket zone, then come back down to then test out a potential Fibonacci move of the retest of this level, which we did not really get, and we still have not yet received this retest. So until proven otherwise, I don't know what the price action is going to take, which course and what direction. So I'm just going to have the patience to let it play out, because it now has invalidated, almost has invalidated our initial thesis, because as I always say, this point 0.9 level on the Fibonacci retracement is going to be a very important level, because it is going to be my invalidation for a short move, right? Or for a, yeah, for a short move precisely. So also there's, so now this is what the bearish scenario is. Right? We have been looking at some potential moves until and unless we break this trend line, this trend that it's been forming, this trend formation right here. And once we start breaking it, then I'll start looking for a bearish scenario. That's outline number one. Number two, now this could either be a bullish situation or a bearish one. How? If I have to explain it, very simple terms is, you see this white line here, that is going to be an all-time high. There's something known as a liquidity sweep, or again, there are plenty of words for it: swing failure patterns, inducement, etc. So the price can do something like this, go above the all-time high and induce people to enter the market and go long, then dump back into these levels. Right? Absolutely a possible scenario, which is, I would say, this is a scenario that is way more likely to happen in the upcoming weeks. So that's scenario number two. But overall, the third scenario is essentially going to be something like this. You see the golden pocket right here, which is also coinciding with this trend line, which is going to be a very beautiful buying opportunity for Bitcoin, which is what it will do, something like this. Maybe create a double bottom formation here, retest this, and then we might be off to some massive moves. I mean, of course, the price is not going to go up all the way like this, like it is doing right here and also did here, right? And the gap between that has just been not that long. But if you see the price action, it does kind of stall every now and then. So of course, it's not going to go up like this in such a massive momentum. It will stop here and there, and then it'll go up. Stuff like that. This is just for reference sake. This is a possible target. The minus 0.618 and the minus 0.5 standard deviation right here. And so the targets are going to be $130,000 for a price label call out possibility, which is actually a little premature of me to get into this kind of a prediction right now. I'm just going to put that just for an entertainment, fun prediction kind of thing, because until and unless we get this retracement into this zone, right? As I said, that's the only time we'll be able to kind of confirm whether the price is going to go to the zone or not. So this there's quite the possibility that something like this might happen as well. We might end up retesting this, then we might break down from this trend line into this 74K level again. That would then give us a potential bearish, major bearish scenario, which would then take us into the 47,000 level again, possibly. And now, then this would then become a double bottom formation in a very higher time frame, in the monthly and in the 3 month and the 6 month, right? Then this would then become the double bottom formation. So when a double bottom formation is created in a higher time frame like that, then you can expect the price to then. So let me make a call out here as well, right? This is going to be another call out. Uh, let's say 52. Okay, that's a more like relatively simple number to relate to rather than the 47,000, 49,000, because that is slightly a fearful number to use because you know what could happen if we lose the 49,000 level. We'll then end up having to go all the way to the 30,000 level, which is Bitcoin's favorite value, Bitcoin's favorite value for about, I think, 5 years, 4 years. Yeah, 4 years if I'm not wrong. Reading at 30,000 for a long time, or it kept going back to the 30,000 level consistently. Right. So now Bitcoin's favorite level is going to be the 75K level right here. If you notice, we've had a lot of times we spent here at the 70,000, between the 70 and 75,000, which is another beautiful place to put a call out, right? Of course, we're going to have to call this out as well. So these call outs, these price action labels are going to be very key and super important in the long term. Super duper important. Yeah. So once we get a retracement, let's let the market show us certain structure. Let it find a structure for itself. Or as I said, so these are the two scenarios that I was trying to show, right? Essentially this, and something like this. Into that 130K, right? 127 or something. Yeah. This would be your target. $127,000, 130K, whatever. That is scenario number one. And scenario number two is we induce the market into going long above the all time high and retest the all time high. Coming down, possibly induce the market out here as well for a long opportunity. Come close to it, which would essentially be the Fibonacci golden pocket here. And then bang, come into the 74K again. And then we might possibly create a double bottom right here. That's situation number one for the bearish scenario. Situation number two is we end up coming back to the 95K level, finally reject completely here, balance out whatever longs have been accumulated from here, pretty much, which is what the market would look to do, is balance out the longs here finally, and then boom, we hit this 52K level again. So this is the scenario that I was talking about. Then we finally take some proper support out here, create a double bottom formation, and do something like this. Couple of months, talking about 2026, not that far away. So if I have to, let me be very precise with this. All right. Something like this would be the possible scenario. Right, there we go. We hit that 150K. Right. Because why I'm saying that is because of this. November is has been Bitcoin's number one place to start a bull run. October, November. This is when it would be. And this could see these. This is just I'm just simply playing around. Let's not take this as a serious matter. But these price points, you can keep it as a very important thing because these four price points are very key right now to work with. So at the moment, let's just stay with what we have. I was just simply playing around with different predictions and different possibilities. Of course, I'm a price action and intraday. I prefer intraday moves rather than these major long-term moves, even though it pretty much translates to all time frames, my analysis. So that's not going to be a problem at all. Quite simple, really. Let the market do its thing. Let's wait for a couple of weeks. Let it create a certain type of structure. Let it structure itself out here because we are at a resistance. So we'll see what the market does. We do need a retracement. The market is going to give us a retracement sooner rather than later. That's the only way for new participants to enter the market. I'm talking about big smart money, big money moves, to come through would be at a much lower price range. So these would be the price ranges: 83K, 90K, 74K. So between this range, this would be your discount zone, right? Discount, and this is your premium. Right now, it's at a premium zone. So nobody wants to buy. Who wants to buy at a premium? I don't think anybody would like to buy any product in the entire world at a premium price, right? So let's just wait for some discounted prices and then we'll take it one step at a time after that. Cool. So this is my medium to long term, essentially my whole outlook on Bitcoin at the moment. This is what it's trying to do, what it's going to do. These price points are going to be key levels for the market to trade through. Essentially, four beautiful, lovely price points: 109K, 95K, 74K, and 52K. So if I have to be a little more conservative right now, let me set up a better price point of 80K. Right, so that way it will be spaced out a bit better. This 52K, I've just put it there because no, I don't want to um, rule out the possibility of a bearish scenario of us reaching this point, which is we are probably going to have to come to this zone quite soon within the year, next year or two. Because the next 2 years, we're going to have to come to this low because there's a lot of liquidity sitting here. So the market is definitely going to have to come here before any like major move up. We might get like these possible moves up to these like 125, 127. As I said, 130K is still possible. But I would say for us to go into that 150, 160 region, we're going to have to target these lows for the 52K region for the market to then go into this higher price points. Anyway, as I said, those are all for a later discussion. Let's just keep it simple and see where the price wants to go at this very moment. So this is my analysis for this moment. Whatever is on the chart right now, you can freeze it, take it down. This is going to be a fair value right here. Let me mark it out. Simple. This is going to be a 50%. Anyway, you don't need to worry about all that. Just worry about these four price points. Anytime the price comes to these 4 points or close to these 4 points, just make sure and keep in mind that the market is going to react in a very powerful and strong way when it comes to these four price points. That's it. Simple. Over. We are done with the Bitcoin analysis for now. Let's get back to the trade and see what's happening. Beautiful. We are in profit. And we didn't get stopped out. If you notice, I placed it just below the ORB, the opening range, and we are in profit right now. And overall, we're still within the range though, and I think we're gonna pretty much end up completing this trade right away. Right away, actually. Set it up. There we go. Look at that beautiful trade playing out. Now I'm going to move my stops to this low right here. It's going to kind of cut my stop loss a bit. Losses by slightly better than what it was below this low. It was initially below this low, my stop loss. Now I've moved it to below this low. My entry, as I said, was right here. So we are right now in a profit of about 247 points. All right, let's just wait and see what happens. I think the trade's going to play out quite soon, quite quickly, and quite fast as well. And just so that I don't want to confuse people, let's keep it as it is. Excuse me. Yeah, there we go. We're about to hit our full TP very soon. I would suggest now trailing your stop loss. Set that in there. Trail stop loss. Simple. Trade is done. Almost trailing our stop loss. So basically, what that means is just moving our stop loss from here to here. We've moved that. Now will move our stops to here so that if the price comes back down, we'd still be stopped out. But I wouldn't recommend moving it so close to the current price. I'd recommend moving the stops to break even. Right? That would be a better option. So that's how I've set trailing stop loss by preference. What that means is based on your personal preference of how much risk you want to keep in the trade, you can set your trailing stop loss based on your personal preference so that you don't go by anybody's else's way of trading, you know. My personal preference is quite simple. I like to just keep moving my stops at every higher low that's formed when I'm in the long, and vice versa. When there's a lower high formed, I like to keep moving my stop losses said manner. Anyway, we are in profit right now. This is a good range. This range itself is worth 495 points. That's about a 0.5%. Yeah, the opening range is actually quite lovely. Very simple, super easy to trade. Not at all complicated. Can be in and out of trades relatively much faster than what you would generally be in waiting for much bigger trades to happen, stuff like that. So what I would recommend is understanding and learning what an ORB strategy is, or opening range breakout. For those of you who are interested in learning about it, you can just go on YouTube and check it out. Simple, you'll find plenty of videos and you can learn about the ORB formation and ORB opening range breakout strategies within a span of one video. One YouTube video is all you need to learn about it. And this is probably the most easiest strategy that any single trader in the entire world can learn. Whether you are a beginner or whether you are an advanced level trader, the strategy pretty much applies the same way. Of course, plenty of different approaches can be applied to the ORB, the opening range, where you can trade within the range from the range low to the range high. You can do different types of scalping. You can scalp all the way inside the range. You can scalp with a break out of the range, and you can also scalp with the retest of the range. So there are many ways to trade with the opening range, and I think the New York opening range is probably the most easiest to trade because you have a lot of volatility in the market to begin with. So you immediately know what the price is trying to do. Of course, it is not in your control if the market starts manipulating and going against your trade and goes away from you. So if that happens, the best outcome and the best possible way to deal with that would be to essentially adapt and change the direction of your bias and take a trade in the opposite direction, especially when it comes to an opening range. It can't get any simpler than that, because inevitably when the market manipulates, it manipulates to either side. So it'll manipulate once to the upside and then manipulate once to the downside, and then again to the upside and then again to the downside. So that'll be one, two, three, four. So there's usually a three tap thing, that happens. So there's only when the market manipulates three times, more often than not. Three times. So when it manipulates for the first time, you won't know it. When it manipulates for the second time, then you'll know that the market is manipulating, right? Because then you'll start seeing some kind of like funky price action that it develops for it to then either like continue in the direction to the downside. That's when you know, okay, okay, cool. That's not a complete manipulation. There was only a manipulation for the first time. And yeah, now I'm kind of getting into a bit more complicated approach to understanding the price action. These concepts are a little more advanced level price action strategies where this is what I would say comes just from experience pretty much, which is the understanding of manipulations in the market, where there is a manual manipulation of the market. You could say that, because the algorithms usually don't manipulate like in such a massive amount. You can kind of differentiate between a manual manipulation and an algorithmic manipulation, right? With an algorithmic manipulation, it's quite simple, where the algorithms usually try to take the liquidity above certain zones and then it will come back down. That's when you know that it is an algorithmic manipulation, right? But whereas a manual human based manipulation, that kind of occurs when you know for a fact that the market is moving beyond certain liquidity structures in a very rapid uh, momentum, purposefully. You can see that purpose in the market to manipulate, which is why, that's which is when you kind of get the sense that it is being manipulated by a manual market maker rather than an algorithmic manipulation, right? So for example, let me give you an example of a market maker manipulation, and an algorithmic manipulation, right here. This is what I would call as a market maker manipulation and an algorithmic manipulation. There's two of it happening at the same time. Same here as well. Notice we swept this low, we took the stop loss above here, and then we moved back up. And then of course we kind of came back down. And but this would be the algorithm playing itself out once it created this. So there are different ways to look at it, different patterns. It's not always black and white and binary every single time. I don't think any single business in the world is going to be so easy. And I would say trading in general is a very difficult business because it doesn't have the binary formations of the dynamics in the margins for profit, or you can say margins for success, let's say. So that's pretty much the same with almost all businesses around the world, right? Whether it's any single business, to be honest, like the margin for success is never going to be so binary. It's not going to be so easy, to make a living. I'm talking about a consistent and highly successful living in today's world. It's never that binary in any business. So trading especially is a business where it is never that binary. It's always going to be very dynamic, and got to keep adapting to the different price fluctuations and psychological elements, etc., etc. The plenty of things that we can discuss when it comes to the dynamics of the business side of things in being successful in a field. There are plenty of ways to look at it. But it's not that easy. It's never like a yes or no kind of thing. You have to keep adapting to to essentially inevitably arrive at the yes or no element of things in a transaction, whatever it is. But what goes behind that yes or no, and should I continue? Should I say yes to this transaction, or should I say yes to this trade? Should I take this trade or not? Is what it's all about essentially. Anyway, I'm just now starting to talk about some other stuff. I do not want to lose focus on this trade. This is what we have right now, quite simple. Opening range. And as you can see, the market did the exact same thing yesterday as well. It's been doing this on the past 3 weeks almost at the New York Open, right? It manipulates all the way up until 8, maybe about 15 minutes past 8 o'clock, right? It manipulates like this, does all sorts of nonsensical things. Then it moves one certain direction. And that's also exactly what is going to happen right now. The market has been a bit bearish, right? Today it has been bearish, and look at Ethereum. Ethereum, we're already getting a breakdown on the trend line that I put together. Interesting to see. And usually, when the market is at this 50% level of the RSI, which it also means to say that market is consolidating and kind of uh, uncertain price action. It's not favorable to trade during these moments. Is whenever the price is inside this 50% level of the RSI, right? It's during these moments that it kind of creates that uncertain element, uncertain nature of things, essentially. So anyway, this is what we are looking at pretty much on Bitcoin. As I said, we right now we are pretty bullish only. We're going to probably hit this target very soon. Just going to let the chart do its thing. Probably play some tracks, music, the background. Let me see if I can play some cool stuff. All right, looks like we have got stopped out of this trade. Let's start looking for a potential short opportunity. And this is the best way to trade the ORB, the opening range. You take small risk, and as soon as you hit the stops, usually it then moves to in the direction that you initially took the trade against. So at the moment, right now, we are biased short. Simple, very simple. Just stop above this. Now this is going to be our range essentially, right? We Let me see the 5 minute. Yeah, so the 5 minute, we're gonna have to wait just another minute to see what happens. As soon as this 5 minute candle closes below this, beautifully, we can then look at it. I feel like I should extend my ORB to the first 30 minutes rather than 15 minutes because of this super extreme volatility on BTC right nowadays. The 15-minute OBS have been faking a lot of people out, like it did to me as well just now with the first trade that I took, faked me out and kind of stopped me out right here. So as we are seeing, if we had set up the orb for the first 30 minutes, this would have then become our high. And now we're getting a confirmation that it's wanting to go short. The market now wants to go short. Simple, relatively easy trade, I feel. Now is we're going to be able to hit this trade quite easily because now we know, now we are quite certain that the market now wants to go in the direction of the bearish side, essentially. Right, so we have now adapted towards the bearish momentum of the market. We have, I think, yes, we have received a 5 minute candle close below the opening range. And also, as I was saying, the opening range plays out better nowadays in Bitcoin for the first 30 minutes rather than the first 15 minutes. Usually, I prefer to trade with the first 15 minutes, right? And off late, Bitcoin has been trapping a lot of people in the first 15 minutes of the market. So I have now realized that it's better to trade with the first 30 minutes rather. I do trade with both sides depending on the market situation. I like to trade the London sessions actually. The London opening range of the 15-minute works really well as the Asia opening range of the first 15-minute also works quite well, relatively better than the New York Open of the first 15 minutes. The New York Open of the first 15 minutes is quite nasty actually. So it's better to kind of move into the first 30 minutes rather. Then we kind of it'll be easier for us to get confirmation of the trade as we do right now are receiving a beautiful confirmation which is essentially a 5 minute candle close below the 30-minute orb, right? 30-minute range. As I also keep saying, this is a trade that is being taken with a low risk and small capital size. We trade quite simply without any hassle. Take whatever stops that get hit, we take it and we move on to the next trade. That's it. Very simple. And if I know for a fact, I don't go more than two trades a day, right? When I go into the orb strategy, if I am within a certain space and I do the opening range breakout strategy, I end up taking only two trades. First trade, that is, if the more often than not, the first trade is what works out for me. On the days that I take my stop loss, I will go for the second trade, which is the opposite direction. Essentially, is what I'm doing right now. If this trade also doesn't work out, then I just let it be. I close the chart out and I move on to the next day. Because usually when the market does something like a manipulation to both sides, that's when you know that it is not a favorable condition to trade, because the market is manipulating. At the moment, you see, we are now starting to get a rejection, beautiful rejection right here, and I feel like we're going to hit this trade very easily, very soon. We're going to target this low, beautiful, and we're going to come into this very soon. I think this is going to be a way better opportunity for the market to hit the full TP right now. So that's pretty much it for the opening range breakout. This is going to be the trade for last trade for today. And if you go back to the beginning of the video, we will be able to see the Bitcoin analysis that I had done for the overall current situation of the market. Right. So that it that is what it is right now. And also, I will not be streaming on Monday because I will be traveling, and I'll be back on Tuesday to start getting into the live streams. Same time, New York time, pretty much around the same New York opening. Hopefully, the market cools off and we get a better environment to trade with during the sessions next week, because the market has been way too volatile in the past 2 weeks. And I'm sure a lot of people do know this, especially during the New York Open. A lot of traders know this as well. So hopefully we get a much cleaner price action situation play out for us next week. With that being said, Ethereum is also a good opportunity right now because we do have a lot of price action going on with Ethereum. Look at this low right here that I had marked out, which is the 2200 low, is what the price needs to kind of gravitate towards if we want to see a bearish scenario playing out. We're going to have to break this low for that. Very important. This low is going to be very, very important to break to then get lower prices, which is the 2409 price label. Very, very, very important. So without that, without a break of this level right here on Ethereum, we won't be able to see lower prices. We need to break this level. Only then we will see lower prices on Ethereum. And for a much higher price action on Ethereum, we will end up probably seeing the 3K, maybe 3K level is what the target will be. The next target, if I mark out this supply right here, say, yeah, it would be the 3K level essentially. I'm considering this breakout right here on Ethereum. If we end up breaking out from this level, we just very simply mark out the supply of this zone right here and place it above the breakout region, which will give us the price point of $3,040. 3,000. The 3K zone on Ethereum will be the next target for a bearish side. And likewise, we'll have a similar target to the downside of $2,000 if it breaks this level. Very binary, very, very simple 0, 1, and yes and no kind of situation on Ethereum will be playing out in the upcoming few days, I would say. That's going to be the 50% level, which is almost essentially going to function as the point of control as well for Ethereum. So these three levels, very, very key levels right now for Ethereum. Simple stuff, very simple stuff. So just mind these levels on Ethereum and play it exactly by these levels, and you will be able to do well. As long as we trade within this range, we will be inside these price levels. These three price levels. If we break through these ranges, then we'll see this 3K level. Or if we break down from here, we'll see this 2K level. That's all. Simple. Very, very simple. Ethereum is actually a beautiful chart to trade with. All right. With that being said, I will be back next week on Tuesday, and hopefully get to see better price action on Bitcoin. And yeah, good week trading on Bitcoin. Hopefully, this trade plays out sooner rather than later. Our target right now is the 102.5K. Our entry is 103K. Stop loss above this high right here, 103.952. Simple. And anyway, this is going to be my last trade for today. So as I said, I don't take more than 2 trades when it comes to the ORB, the opening range strategy. 2 trades is my max limit. And if both my trades are taken out with the stop, I just move on to the next day, wait for it, and find a better opportunity. Simple as that. Very simple. Keep it simple. No need to complicate things. All right. With that being said, I hope you all have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Trade safely. Take it easy, and I will see you all on the next one.